Hey there, and welcome back to our cast in place outdoor kitchen project. We're making polished concrete worktops or countertops for our outdoor kitchen using our cast in place mix. In the last video, we built the molds, we cast the concrete, we troweled the concrete, and then we covered it over with plastic to allow it to cure overnight. Today in part two, we are going to be polishing the surfaces of the concrete. We're going to be removing the edge forms and polishing those as well. And we're going to be getting it ready to seal so that it can be put into service. So follow along for a step-by-step guide to the final stages of this project. Now, if you haven't already watched part one, I highly recommend you go back and watch that video, because watching this now won't really make any sense without going through all the stages in that first video. What I'd also suggest you do is click the subscribe button below. That way you know you can come back at any time without having to search through a glut of videos. And whilst you're down there, click the like button as well, just to show us that you like what we are producing for you. Hey, I'm Toby, and this is Concrete Lab, where we share our knowledge and expertise to help you make your own beautiful polished concrete. So as you can see, now that I've taken the plastic off, quite a lot of the moisture that was squirted on has actually gone. So it was very, very important to leave that plastic on the top because it would have allowed too much moisture to evaporate overnight. And you need that moisture there for really good curing. So the next thing that we're going to do is take an orbital sander with a wet and dry pad, which is 120 grit. That's what the plug, got a foam Velcro backing. And I'm going to just very gently start sanding the surface, give it a squirt down with water every so often, so you are actually wet sanding. But I don't want to make it too wet. I don't want to use just a slow action with the orbital sander, just to take the top sort of layer off and bring that nice hard trowel finish up to the surface. With a healthy spritz of water, start to sand your tops in a circular motion. Squirt more water as you go to keep everything nice and wet. What you'll begin to see happening is that the top layer of cement will start to turn into a paste. That's completely normal. Keep going across the entire surface, making sure you get into all those corners and edges. If necessary, take a disc, fold it in two and sand those tight areas by hand. Sanding of the tops now done. I'm going to give them a quick squirt down. You probably noticed that I switched to a hose which is available to me. So I'm going to give them a quick wash down now, and then I'm going to strip the sides and work on those. But it's taken 10-15 minutes to sand the tops off. All the work was really done yesterday. So in doing that, that's made my work this morning really, really simple. With the tops now sanded to a smooth finish, the next thing to do is to remove the melamine or melamine edge forms. Grab your cordless drill and start to take out all of the screws. If you've built them in the way that we have, then there will be plenty. Put them aside for the next project. Then start to remove each of the melamine sections. If you've built them as we have again, there will be a bead of silicone which will start to unstick with a little bit of coaxing. Work your way around all of the edges, setting the melamine aside. Sadly, the melamine at this point will be quite damp and will swell, so will only be good for the bin. With the melamine now removed, it's time to unscrew the plywood parts of the edge forms. In a similar fashion, unscrew the plywood which is attached to the underside of the cement board substrate above. This tends not to come off in one piece, so again, pile the plywood up ready for the bin. Now it's time to sand the edges and the corners. Take your orbital sander again and work methodically around the vertical edges and the corners. Remember to wet everything down as you go. In tight corners, again, use the sanding discs by hand to get into those tight areas. Run your hand over the edges to check they're not sharp and have a nice smooth round on them. Finally, wash down the tops again and give them a wipe with a cloth. It's now time to move on to sealer coat 1 of 3. At the time of recording, our sealer comes in packs that cover 10 square metres in 3 coats. Each sealer pack contains a part A and a part B, which are mixed together then with water. The amounts of part A, part B and the water for each coat vary, and to help you we have a calculator on our website which will do all the maths for you and give you the required amounts of the 3 ingredients for each coat. It's important to be accurate here. Too much part A or B will throw the chemical reaction out and lead to either the sealer not curing and remaining sticky or going white after a few hours. The simplest thing to do is follow our instructions and calculator on the website, links to which are in the description below. You'll see I'm using syringes here to measure out each of the parts. We actually sell a kit on our website which contains the syringes, rollers and a paint tray, which is perfect for sealing your concrete. Okay, it's a small sales plug, but to be honest, without the bits in the pack it's much harder. Feel free to buy your own syringes from Amazon or wherever, but as a minimum I would recommend getting hold of some. So with the sealer now mixed, we're ready to start applying it. First, wet down your concrete with a damp cloth. This helps the initial absorption. Don't drown your fresh concrete because there will still be loads of moisture in there. It's simply a case of dampening the surface. Once the surface has been dampened, it's time to start the sealer application. Pour a small amount onto the surface and simply start rollering it around. Keep working it around the concrete, keeping the surface wet with the sealer. Because you wipe the surface with a damp cloth already, it won't dry out too quickly, so you should have enough time to get around a decent sized area. A word of warning though, don't bite off more than you can chew. If you have multiple sections, it's better to take your time and do them one by one instead of trying to smash it all out in one go. Now I've probably applied a little too much sealer in this video, so here I'm using kitchen towel to dry off some of the sealer from the roller to take off the excess. But to be honest, I'd rather have too much and have to take some off than have too little and try and make that sealer stretch. The purpose of this coat is to penetrate below the surface of the concrete and lock it out so that the subsequent less dilute coats are sitting closer to the surface. So we're now nearing the end of the project. The concrete has obviously been cast, it has been polished, and the first coat of sealer has been applied. Now before I apply the 2 final coats of sealer, I'm going to use a colour matched smoothing paste to fill in any tiny holes that tend to occur. It's just part of the process. So you can use this smoothing paste to fill in those tiny holes. I recommend that you fill them in on the top if you're going to be using the surface for food prep. Along the front edge, that's more a matter of taste really. I'm going to fill in the bigger ones and I might leave a few smaller holes just so it has that more concretey look. So let's get on with the next stage. The colour match smoothing paste is blended with a resin component and is designed to match the base colour of the concrete. Now in this video the smoothing paste is an old iteration which was just add water. We now supply the smoothing paste with a resin which is mixed as per the instructions. Application of the smoothing paste starts with wetting the surface down again. I'm using a hose here, but a damp cloth will definitely suffice. Application is simple. Place a blob of smoothing paste on the surface and start to squeeze it across the surface, filling any tiny voids which will naturally be present in the surface. If the surface dries out as you're working around your tops, give it a light spritz of water and continue. Something to bear in mind, the smoothing paste is not structural. It can't be used for anything other than filling pinholes, tiny fissures, etc. As you go round, don't forget to do the edges where you feel necessary. You may be wondering at this point why the first coat of sealer was applied before the smoothing paste. This is so the dye in the smoothing paste doesn't mark the surface of the bare concrete. As you're applying the smoothing paste, take as much of the excess off as possible. This will make it easier when it comes to the final sanding process. Leave the smoothing paste for a couple of hours to harden up. Once it's gone hard, you can then start to take the excess off. Pick up your orbital sander with a sanding pad, wet the surface down again, and start sanding. Work in circular motions across the wetted surface. If you made sure to remove as much of the excess smoothing paste when it was wet, your job will now be far easier. Wipe the surface with a clean, damp cloth every so often. You'll then be able to see if any areas require a bit more sanding or if you're good to continue. You can see here that I left loads of smoothing paste on the surface. As a consequence, I had to work much longer here to take it all off. The lesson in this is to take your time with each process and get it right before moving on to the next. Don't forget to sand the corners and edges of your countertops to make sure all the excess smoothing paste is removed here and to make them lovely and smooth again. Once you're happy you've removed all the excess, give your tops a final hose down, ready for the final coats of sealer. So we really are now into the final stages of the project with just coats 2 and 3 of the sealer to complete. So as you can see here, I've got my sealing kit all ready to go with my syringes, rollers, whisk, paint, tray, etc. And job number 1 is to go onto our website. Now I'm doing it on my mobile. You go to concretelab.co.uk. You click on the menu, then click on calculators and kit builders, and then on project calculators and scroll down to Concrete Lab Sealer Calculator. Here you can fill in your name and you can fill in your email address, and you can also fill in your project name. And then finally you can fill in the area of the concrete that you want to seal. Now you don't have to do all this, you can just fill in the area and all the numbers will be populated in the form below, but if you want to get a copy of it by email or print the form out, then it's worth filling in all those details. So the next thing to do is grab your syringes and start weighing out the sealer. A handy tip here is to take the plunger off the sealer and actually pour the liquid in through the top of the syringe. The benefit of that is twofold. The first is that because the sealer liquids are actually quite thick, part B being particularly thick, getting the liquid to draw up through the syringe nozzle is actually quite difficult. What you tend to end up doing is drawing in a lot of air as well. That will make the measurements a little bit more inaccurate. So pouring the liquid from the top means that you know you can be really accurate. Again, the purpose of providing 2 syringes is that you can use one for part A and one for part B. I'd recommend cleaning both of them out after the sealing operation, but you can use either for adding the water as well. With all the components now added to your container, start to mix them using the whisk provided in the sealing kit. Mix the sealer for a couple of minutes so that you know everything is combined. Next, pour the liquid into the paint tray so you can start applying the sealer. Wet your roller up and get going. Because you've already applied a coat of sealer, unlike before with coat 1, you don't need to dampen down the surface. Bare concrete can absorb sealer in a haphazard fashion, but because you've already applied a coat, when it comes to applying the second coat, it will be absorbed evenly. Work methodically around the worktops applying the sealer. Don't forget to apply to the edges as well. Because this is the second coat of sealer, you actually have a little bit more time because the sealer doesn't absorb as quickly. Keep rollering until you get an even finish. One of the major benefits of our sealer is that you don't get lines. So whilst it looks like you've got lines from the roller whilst you're applying it, those with a little bit of patience will disappear. And that's Sealer Coat 2 pretty much done. I'm not going to bore you with showing how to do Sealer Coat 3 because it's done in exactly the same way that Sealer Coat 2 is done. Just make sure you wait 4 to 6 hours to allow Sealer Coat 2 to dry and start to cure before applying the final coat. And that's a wrap on our outdoor kitchen worktop project. From the moulds to the final seal, we've taken you through every step to creating your own cast-in-place worktops. And I've got to say, they've turned out exactly how I wanted them to. It's been a cracking project, no pun intended. It's been a bit messy at times, it's been very hands-on, but it's been very satisfying and the results are absolutely fantastic. What you see now is a tough, weatherproof and professional grade finish that will last the test of time. And we did it all with our cast-in-place mix from Concrete Lab. Hopefully the series has shown you just how achievable it is for a high-end concrete finish, even outdoors. Whether you're building an outdoor kitchen, barbecue counter, or custom benches, this mix makes the whole process far simpler than you might expect. Now, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below or simply ping us an email. And if you want to tackle a project on your own, drop us a message or check out our full range of products on our website. We're always happy to help. So thank you for following along. And if you do tackle your own project, remember to tag us on social media. And again, click the like button below if you have liked these videos and also subscribe to our channel. Many thanks.